Hi everyone, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com, and I am very happy to be here with you today. I will be introducing you to my latest design and giving you all the details that you need to participate in our January Sew Together. So this gorgeous bag here, I have named the Happy Go Lucky Backpack. It's a convertible bag which you can wear on your back as shown. These are two adjustable backpack straps, or you can use the attached shoulder strap and wear it crossbody. This particular bag has a very slim profile, so it's perfect for everyday use. It is large enough to hold a MacBook Pro. The patchwork styling makes each piece a true one of a kind. Flap closure here has two magnetic snaps in each corner there. I will be demonstrating a new pocket technique in this series. What I have done is incorporated two front slip pockets, which are nicely padded and also patchworked. And then I have created a lip underneath this pocket so you can fit your hand right up underneath there, and that makes closing this flap a cinch because you're just putting your hand right up under that little lip. You know exactly where the snap is, and you can close the bag with ease. Under the flap, I wanted to make sure that you could wear this with confidence. Inside the bag, I have incorporated three nice slip pockets along that rear wall, and that ensures that the weight of the bag is nicely distributed. And then again, just make note of how easy it is to close this because I can just slip my hand right under there and secure that snap. So along the back here are the backpack straps, which are adjustable, in addition to another awesome patchwork full-length rear pocket which sits nice against the back. It's going to be nice for documents or anything larger, so this could make a great work bag or church bag for many of you. So if you did want to use this as a convertible bag and wear it on the shoulder, I have incorporated a fixed messenger strap here, and by fixed I mean it's permanently attached. You have the option, if you like, to use swivel fobs on this shoulder strap as well, or you could completely omit the shoulder strap or make it much smaller. So the strap sits nice behind the bag if you want to use the backpack straps like that, but you also have the option of tucking the strap under the flap as well. And I want to show you what this looks like crossbody. Again, because of this slim silhouette, it's a really attractive bag to wear on the body. It doesn't add too much bulk to your back or to your side. I'm going to give you some measurements on this now. We are coming in at approximately 11.5 inches tall, 2.5 inches deep, and 12.5 inches across the base and across the top. Another great thing about this project is it's a wonderful scrap buster because it uses 88 4-inch squares, and most of us save scraps of all different sizes. So homework for this week is going to be for you to cut out 88 4-inch squares And then you are going to start building your exterior panels, and I'm going to go over that process with you today, and I'm going to offer you some tips for cutting out your squares and piecing those squares together. But before we get started on that, I want to screen share the PDF document with you. This year, I am streamlining my whole process, and the point of doing that is to make sewing accessible to anyone who wants to learn and guarantee your success. So what I find is, as a visual learner, sometimes when I will look at a written pattern or written instructions for a sewing project, my eyes just cross. Like all of a sudden this exhaustion and fatigue just fills me and I'm no longer excited. So with this 2-page PDF, I tried to be as concise as possible. And I wanted to give you just the information that you need to make this project with ease. So I have given a lot of thought to the components of this PDF, and then every other detail I'm going to cover in the video segments with you. So there will be a total of 4 videos for every project we make this year. Just to review, the first video will be the introduction, and I will go over all of the materials and show you the bag. The second video will be the exterior. The third video will be the interior. And then in the fourth video, we're going to price out the project so you know exactly how much it costs to make and how much you should charge if you're going to sell the bag. All right? So what I want to do now is go over all the materials so that you have plenty of time to gather your supplies for this project, which is going to span the whole month of January. All of the content will be archived here on YouTube in one convenient playlist, so you can join at any time. And then I will be providing updates throughout the month on the Sewspire Instagram, Facebook, and Sewspire group Facebook pages. All the links to those are down in the notes for you, so be sure to check that out. So now I'm going to screen share with you here so you can see the PDF that I have created. If you would like to purchase a copy of your own to save, print, or work alongside of, you can grab that from my Etsy pattern shop for a nominal fee. Your purchase helps support the channel, and I am very grateful for that. If you do not wish to purchase the accompanying PDF, you can hit pause on the video when I screen share, and you can either screenshot that and reference it later, or you can take notes and work from your notes. The PDF really is designed to make your life easy, and they're all going to follow this format. If you want to collect them and reference them later for future inspiration, I think that would be a really nice collection to have. So the Happy Go Lucky backpack, as mentioned, is crafted from 88 4-inch squares of cotton fabric. And you're going to want a nice assortment of squares. I'm going to show you here some of the materials that I have picked out for mine. I don't like patchwork bags too matchy-matchy. So when you are trying to choose your fabric, just choose fabrics that you like. Don't put anything in it that you don't like. That's the only rule. So dig through your scraps and use what you have to cut out your 88 4-inch by 4-inch squares. And then you're going to need approximately 2 yards of coordinating cotton fabric that you can cut from for the straps, the interior, the pockets on the interior, and then the lining or facing for the exterior pockets. You're going to need approximately 1 yard of the Annie's Soft and Stable, which is a wonderful 1/4 inch foam that is perfect for this project. If you don't have access to the Annie's Soft and Stable, go ahead and use Warm and Natural quilt batting, or if you happen to have another brand of quilt batting that you like, it will offer a very nice look to this bag as well. It just won't give you quite as much padding, so it's probably not optimal for using your laptop if you go with the quilt batting, but it'll still be a really lovely bag. You will need 2 magnetic snaps. I am using the magnetic snaps that you install with the cam press, but you can use the ones that have the prongs as well. They should be fairly heavy duty because you want to have a good grip on that. Traditional heavy duty snaps will work too. You're going to need 1 14-inch zipper. Separating is ideal, but as long as it's open at one end, you're fine. You can also use the zipper by the yard, and I will show you how to set that up so that it functions as a zipper that has one end open. You're going to need 3 of the 1.5-inch triangle ring attachments, and I want to show you close up what those look like in case you're not familiar. I got mine at Sally Tomato. I think you can also find these at Gold Star. And that's what that looks like. So it has the 1.5-inch opening across the bottom there for the strap, and then the hole there for the swivel fobs. You are going to need 3 of those triangle rings. You're going to need 4 of the 1.5-inch swivel fobs, 2 of the 1.5-inch O-rings, 3 of the 1.5-inch tri-glides. And the tri-glides are the piece of hardware that goes on the strap that makes the strap adjustable. Okay, of those hardware requirements, you could leave off the tri-glides if you wanted to fit your straps to your body perfectly. You can substitute the triangle rings for O-rings if you like. I do not recommend D-rings. And then also optional are 3 8mm rivets, which I used to adorn the straps there. And they are decorative as well as functional because they keep the hardware from going down right up against the stitching on the bag, but they are optional. You could instead reinforce with stitching there. Okay, so with the exception of the O-rings, there is a workaround for all of that hardware because I realize that is a lot of hardware, and the hardware definitely increases the price of the bag. You also have the option, if you like, of omitting the zipper on the interior to save a little money if you need to too, and you will still have a really awesome backpack. Just know that if the flap comes open, anyone could reach inside of your bag. If you wanted to omit the interior zipper and the backpack straps, this is a darling messenger bag. So lots and lots of options for you here with this project, which we are going to sew together through the month of January. Just a few specifications here that are unique to my process and this particular bag. You're going to need to reference the videos, which I mentioned are going to span out throughout the month of January. The video will be published every Friday at 12 Eastern, and you will find that archived in one playlist on the Sewspire YouTube channel. The PDF does not have step-by-step written instructions, but it does have what I call the order of operations, which I think will be especially useful to those of you who have been Sewspire subscribers for a long time and are familiar with my process, and to those of you who, like me, are a visual learner and you do not need a whole bunch of lengthy text. You'd rather have visual instructions and you just need the pertinent information in text, so you can say reference when you're shopping for supplies or reference when you're setting up your workspace. Additional specifications include: we will be using the Sewspire T method to assemble this bag. I suggest that you use 5/8 of an inch seam allowance for all the interior construction seams, a 1/4 inch seam allowance when you are piecing together the patchwork panels, which I'm going to demo for you today, and then 3/8 of an inch seam allowance when you're top stitching. And then just to review, the defining features of this happy-go-lucky backpack are the patchwork styling, the slim side profile, the convertible straps, the 2 exterior front pockets, the 1 exterior rear pocket, the flap closure, the recessed zipper closure, 3 interior slip pockets, lightly padded in general, and sized perfectly for everyday use. Moving on to page 2 of the PDF supplement, we have what I call the order of operations. So this is the order in which we will work throughout January to assemble this bag. These are the pertinent steps which, if you go in this order, make the project come together seamlessly. And this is what I believe makes the difference between a crazy, chaotic sewing experience and one that fulfills you and results in a product that you are proud to say, I made this. When you're done with this project, my goal is that people that you show it to are going to go, wow. So I encourage you to post your progress photos on the Sewspire group Facebook page so everybody can see the beautiful fabric you've selected and watch your project unfold along with mine. For the order of operations, your homework for week 1 is to create the patchwork panels that we're going to use next week. So you're going to need 4 14-inch by 14-inch panels, 3 4-inch by 14-inch panels, and 1 10-inch by 14-inch panel. The 4 14 by 14-inch panels, the measurements might vary slightly because each person's seam allowance is going to be slightly different. So you could be as large as 14.5 inches. You might be closer to 14 inches. The main objective is to end up with 4 panels that are the same measurement. So if yours are all 14 by 14, great. If they're all 14.5 by 14.5, great. We just want to end up with 4 patchwork squares that are in that ballpark, and they need to be all consistent. And those 4 panels will be used for the exterior front and rear body, as well as the exterior pocket fronts. The 4 by 14-inch patchwork panels are going to be the side panels and the base of the exterior. And then the 10-inch by 14-inch patchwork panel is going to be the flap. So all of that is outlined in the PDF as well. So I want to lower down the camera here and give you some tips for cutting and piecing. I know a lot of you don't enjoy cutting. If you're a quilter, you have this down, and you can probably even offer us some additional tips. But for anybody who's new to patchwork design, I just want to show you how I cut out my squares and how I piece those squares together so that you have a good idea of how to complete your homework assignment this week. All right, so give me just a minute to readjust the camera and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so you are going to need 88 squares for this, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not. And this work goes very quickly if you have a process for it. So what I do is I dig through the scrap basket and I pick out fabrics that I like. The only requirement is I have to like them. All right, and I press those if they are super wrinkly, because it's hard to cut wrinkly fabric. So I just give them a nice press, and you're going to need a bundle like that I just showed you. Like this is enough material for this patchwork process. Then what you're going to want to do is, after you have them fairly pressed, is working with a sharp rotary blade. So it's nice if you can replace the blade, and a clear acrylic ruler and a cutting mat. You are going to position your remnant on your work surface there, and then I like to true up the edge first. So to do that, I'm putting the ruler so that it sits nice here on the bottom number and the corresponding top line. And that's how you know it's straight. And then make your fabric as straight as you can, which that may be difficult to do across the top. So you don't have to worry too much about that. We want to get one line along the right hand side that is straight. So I just run my rotary cutter across there, and then this becomes trash. Now I want to leave that right on that line, and I'm going to bump over 4 inches. It's aligned at the top and the bottom. With these squares, it is very important that they actually are square. So take your time and make sure that you are aligning everything. Then press well in the center of your ruler and run that blade so that it sits right up against the ruler, and you will get a nice 4-inch wide strip of material. So that's the first goal, is have it 4 inches wide. And then you're going to take that piece, which now we know has straight top and bottom, and you're going to line that up on the mat so that those straight top and bottom edges are running perfectly horizontal. And you're going to repeat the process and true up that right hand side. Get rid of that little extra, and then bump over 4 inches, holding that nice and level. And then you can bump over 4 more inches. And now you just got 4 perfect squares that are 4 inches by 4 inches. This little bit at the end is too small, but it is still too big for me to throw away, so it goes in my keep pile. And you just keep moving through that process until you have a really nice assortment of material all cut perfectly 4 by 4. And I will show you some of the other prints that I have selected. And it's better to cut extras than not have enough, because there may be panels which you want to lay out so they're a little bit more coordinated, or you probably don't want two of the same prints right next to each other. So if you have a few extras to choose from, you know, it's like getting the big box of crayons. It's going to make this process a little bit more fun for you, but I gave you the specific number, 88, because you can't have less than that. So those are some of the gorgeous prints that I am going to be working with to craft my patchwork panels. So the patchwork panel process that I like to use and will be using for this project is to join 4 of the squares together at a time. So I'm creating rows of 4 squares, and then I will take 4 of those to create the bigger 16 square panels. But before we do that, and I give you some tips for piecing these, I wanted to show you, in case you find fabric that you really want to fussy cut there. This fox panel here is obviously bigger than 4 by 4, but she is going to make such a cute addition to this bag. So I think she's going to end up actually right in the middle of my flat panel. So what I did was piece together 2 of the squares, and then I laid it on top of her and cut her out. So she's the equivalent of 2 4-inch squares. For those of you that are quilters, you, I'm sure, can figure out how to do that. So if you want to fussy cut one or some of your panels, just make sure they end up being 4 by 14 or 4 by 14 and a half, depending on your seam allowance. So when you see her in the bag and wonder how she got there, that's how. Okay, so what I want to do now is show you how to piece these squares for anyone who is not familiar. So you begin with 2 squares and you position those right sides facing, and you're going to need to line up those corners very well. I am working on the brand new Janome Skyline S3. If you would like a chance to win this very machine, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, and when we reach 106,000 subscribers, I'm going to be having a special live event to give this gorgeous machine away. So I have this machine here set on 2.4 stitch length. I have my 2 squares lined up perfectly. Now the trick to this piecing is not to backstitch and to line up the fabric with the right hand edge of the foot. So before you start sewing, you want to pick up that presser foot and you want to drop that presser foot down so that the needle is right at the top of the fabric. You don't want to start too far down in on the fabric, because then the top part of your fabric is not going to be attached. So start right at the top of that fabric, and if you have a needle down position, you can put that down, and then go ahead and keep your eye on the right hand side of that foot and make sure that fabric stays perfectly aligned with the right edge of the foot. Absolutely no back stitching. I sewed right off the edge of that. I'm going to use my auto thread cutter. I really do like this machine. I'm so excited for whoever gets it. Then I'm going to take that off of the machine there, and when I open that up, I have a really nice flush 2-part panel there with a perfectly straight seam. And that's the key to getting these patchwork panels so pretty. So now I'm going to add 2 more squares to this because my goal is to get several of the 4-inch strips. So I'm going to take my second square, right sides facing. You're always working right sides facing. And I'm going to line that up perfectly. I'm going to put it under there, get the needle right at the top, drop that down, sew along the right hand edge. Completely off the edge, auto cut, lift that up, open it up. If for any reason you're not satisfied, your seam ripper is available to you. You're going to want to rip out the seam and do this over. So everything should be looking nice and straight. So to this panel, I just have to add 1 more pretty square. And when I'm choosing these, I'm not giving a lot of thought to them other than if 2 of the same print are in the same row. Okay, so I want 4 unique fabrics in each row, and I'm making sure that those are aligned perfectly. During this process, if you come across one that is not cut straight, go ahead and set that aside and pick a different one. Okay, and then I have my 4 squares joined together to create 1 row of 4. So for the big panels, you're going to need 4 of these. For the flat panel, you're going to need 3 of these. For each side, you'll need 1 of these, and for the base, you'll need 1 of these. All of that is outlined for you in the PDF. So when it comes time to create your bigger panels, you're going to want to lay out these strips of 4 on your surface, and you can see here how that kind of becomes a distraction to the eye because that print is so dominant and they're so close together. So I probably wouldn't put that panel there. Let me bring over here this, like, see how that looks so much better. So a little trick for laying out your panels is to lay them out and then take a photo with your phone and look at the photo. I don't know why that works so well, but it does help you catch any prints that are too close together or standing out kind of weird like that. So let's see what I might use for this so I can show you how to piece that together. And I actually really like this look, so I'm going to show you how to piece these 3 together so that I can have my flat panel already made. So I want to lay them out, make sure I like the look, take the picture, look closely at it, make sure nothing is wonky, like for example if my fox were upside down, like that would be really obvious. So I'm just taking a good look before I commit to this. Then I'm going to take 2 of those panels and position them right sides facing. And I'm going to be aligning that first seam and the side. And I'm going to do the same thing, start that needle right at the top. The edge of the fabric is aligned with the right hand side of the foot. And as I go, I'm going to be gently aligning those seams. Fabric has a little bit of give. As long as your seam allowance was consistent, you should be able to tug just ever so slightly on that fabric and get those seams to line up nice. It is helpful, I think, for this part of the process to go very slow, and if you use them, reading glasses are wonderful, and mine have gotten away from me. So I like to get in nice and close so I can see, and so my top is aligned, the needle's in the right position, the first seam is aligned, and the right hand edge of the fabric is aligned. And I want to stop here right on that first seam and mention to you, you absolutely should press these. I already had mine pre-pressed, so I apologize, I didn't think of that. But press all your seams headed in the same direction for that panel. So like all of my seams are pressed down, okay? And that will allow you to be able to stagger these seams. So all my top seams are pressed up and all my bottom seams are pressed down. And I'll show you that in just a second. So I'm through that first seam is nice and straight. I'm coming up on that second one and I'm just going to peek under and it looks nice and straight. And then as I approach the third one, I only have a third one on the top one because I'm using that fussy cut fox. So I'm going to keep on going. And then as I get towards the bottom, I just want to try to align the base. No back stitching again because it creates that little bump which is going to throw off your work. Okay, so all my seams are going down on this side and all my seams are going up on this side, which gives me a nice little nest there. So it all helps reduce the bulk. You don't have to stress out too much if you get one of them wrong because this is a bag. We will be putting in a little top stitching in the foam. It will likely be disguised. So now if my iron were hot, I would press that seam over there to the left, and you will find that the seam just naturally wants to go to the left. You could force it to the right, but you can definitely tell a difference. So don't fight nature there, and mine is going to go pressed off to the left. And then you can see here on the front I got really nice alignment with those seams using that technique. Now I need to attach this third panel, so I'm going to position that right side's facing on the opposite side because I want my fox in the center of that. And I want to carefully align that first seam and the side, and I'm working with those seams to make sure they're nested. One is going up and one is going down. And then I'm coming up on the second seam and I'm just going to tug that fabric just a little bit to get it aligned. And then I would give this a nice press, and it wants to go naturally to the right. So my seams are laying nice and flat after I press those. Here's what the front of this looks like, and this is going to be the flap closure on my bag, and it's going to be just absolutely precious. If you're just working with the 4-inch squares, you would have a square there and a square there, and your bag would look like the prototype. But again, I love this fox. I only have 2 of them left, and so I really wanted to place that beautifully. So I want to show you what that's going to look like to give you a little visual of how darling that's gonna be. Oh, it's so fun. I'm really excited to show you the side-by-side comparison of the two bags when I'm done, because patchwork always results in two completely different looks. So if you have never attempted a patchwork bag, I highly encourage you to have a go at it in this community setting where you will have lots of support and we can guarantee your success. So just to review, your homework for this week is to cut out your 88 patchwork squares and piece those together to form the exterior panels, which we will work together next week to craft the exterior of this bag. I am here. If you should have questions, you can email me at Andrea@sewspire.com. You can also find me and other sewing experts hanging out on the Sewspire private Facebook group. The link to join that is down in the notes. And then last but not least, if you'd like to have it, you can grab your copy of the PDF that accompanies this project from my Etsy pattern shop, and I will put the link to that in the notes as well. So I thank you for joining me. I'm very excited to spend January with you sewing this fabulous happy-go-lucky backpack. Until we meet again, as always, please know the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. I hope everybody has an awesome week. Thank you for joining me.